You know, it's sure starting to feel like the Colorado Avalanche found some stability. Avs win over the Winnipeg Jets 5-2. Now that final score is a little bit deceiving. This was a close game all the way through until the empty netters, so it wasn't the Avs running away with this game, but it was still a good game from Colorado. Yes, Winnipeg was on a back-to-back, and yes, you probably would have liked Colorado to blow them out or be a little bit more effective, at least with keeping their leads. But nonetheless, they won a game against one of the best teams in the NHL. And this was not a weird one. This was not a fluky one. There was kind of none of that to it. The Avs did give up probably too many high danger chances in this game, certainly more than you would like, but that didn't mean they played a bad game. They were the much better possession team throughout the majority of the game, and by the end of it, shots were 38-22, not even close. So the problem really there is finishing. The Avs still kind of need to do a better job on capitalizing on their chances, and some nights you get goal lead, some nights you're not shooting the puck well, etc., etc., etc. The Avs are still not a good enough shooting team at 5-on-5, especially for their talent level. So that's kind of the one major gripe I have here. You'd also like to see them reduce the number of high danger chances against, but with quality goaltending in net, that problem is a lot smaller than it was. The first period started hot. The Avs came out and took it to the Jets, trying to put them on the back foot, and it took a little over 11 minutes, but they do successfully manage that. Avs have been in control of the game. They're working it down low into the Winnipeg zone, and this is mostly just good hard work. You're able to work it back out high after behind the goal line. You're dragging Winnipeg around the ice, effectively misshaping their defense as much as possible. This gives Manson enough room to try and get a shot through, and he does a good job to get it through clean, but the star of this play is Artturi Lehkonen. He's getting cross-checked, he's getting hacked at, he's getting whacked at, he's even getting knocked over. And while getting knocked over, he's still able to track this puck and get a perfect tip on it to get the Avs on the board. When you're hot, you're hot. A fourth goal in 2 games for Artturi Lehkonen, and the Finnish revolution continues in Colorado. I will say of note, defensemen get both of the assists on this goal, Girard and Manson. A theme throughout this game was your defense stepping up and helping out your offense. That's not uncommon for Colorado, but it is good to see it to the level they got in this game against a good team. And the first goal has been wildly important for Colorado this year, or maybe not the first goal, but at least winning the first period. Every single time the Avs have won the first period this season, they've won the game. This one was no different, and while it was dangerous and close and all of that, scoring that first goal, winning that first period, puts you in the driver's seat. So when Winnipeg punches back in the second period, the game gets moved to tie. The Avs aren't suddenly having to come back. The problem with this play actually stems from the 40 seconds leading up to this. The Avs have had a disaster of a shift where they've turned over the puck multiple times, and they've failed to clear the puck a handful of times. They do get the puck out here, but Parsadin, who is a new player on the Avs, I didn't think had a horrible game, but needed to make a better play here. He fails to get the red line, and so he can't dump it in deep, or else it'd be icing. Because of this short dump in, the Avs get caught in a change a little bit. They're tired, their legs aren't able to get them to the bench fast enough, and a quick outlet from Winnipeg means you can see the Avs are flying off of the bench here. Manson hadn't even recovered yet, and this is Manson who gets caught on the back door, but it's not really Manson's fault because he was coming off of the bench. He was put behind this play by his teammates, not himself. So as Malinsky gets outsped around the outside, Manson's never going to be able to catch up to this play, and Kupari's able to put the back post play into the back of the net. Probably the worst shift of the game there for the Avs leading up to that goal. The actual defense was doomed there. Is that bad? Yes. Do you get away with it somewhat because you scored the first goal? Also, yes. And credit to the Avs here for staying in it and punching back with this team. They made sure they never trailed in this hockey game. They get their second lead of the game once again thanks to their defense. So this clip doesn't include a ridiculous high wire act from Cale Makar. I talk about that after the clip a little bit. But Makar is able to keep the zone almost exclusively by himself, and after trying to set up a goal for Kiviranta, it doesn't click and the Avs have to reset. Taves just jumps off of the bench to get in on this play and keep the Avs alive in the zone, and then the setup finally clicks. As you get it across to Makar, again, the Avs are mid-change here. They don't even have a full 5 guys in the offensive zone, but Winnipeg, chasing hard out, has created a massive gap for Makar to play with. Makar does a good job of keeping them honest, threatening himself as a potential shooter before feeding Taves on the backside wide open. Now, Taves does not play this very well. He entirely fans on the first shot. That was not intentional. That was not a Cal Ritchie, I promise. He gets the second shot off, but it's not a good one, and yet somehow it just slips 5-hole for him. So fun fact, I record all of my goal breakdowns separately. This is me recording beforehand. I know what happens in the goal here, but sometimes I don't know exactly how far back my clip goes. I don't think it goes back far enough, so if it did, then I'm just repeating myself here. But Makar is a freak. He completely created that goal almost entirely on his own by just dancing everyone in the offensive zone maybe 20 seconds before that goal actually happened, and then he ultimately sets up Devon Toews on the play. That's things that nobody else does in the NHL. That's just Cale Makar. Great to see Toews finish. Yeah, it's ugly, but it went in for him. Just his second goal of the season. That's kind of big for the Avs. They've needed a little bit more offensive punch out of Devon this year. Unfortunately, despite the Avs recapturing that lead, they kind of do commit a no-no by giving up that goal pretty quickly back still in the second period. Winnipeg collecting a puck off the boards to get set up in the offensive zone against the Avs. They work it in deep, and initially here, I don't really have a whole lot of problems with the Avs defensively. They're covering well. It's a decent little handoff where Lehkonen is able to challenge here. You have Malinsky battling in front, and the one negative here is Malinsky ultimately loses this positional battle at the end of it when it comes to the net front battle that the Avs seem to struggle with so often. But the initial play is fine here. Lehkonen's able to get his stick in and deflect the first pass. This puck bounces up in the air. You can see it right there in midair, holding, and somehow Logan Stanley is able to find this puck, whack it out of midair, and whack it out to the most dangerous part of the ice. Malinsky is turned away. He saw that puck get redirected, thought he was in the clear, thought he could adjust. Instead, that opens up Gabe Vilardi for a nice finish on a puck that is a great play to get it to the net front. I know I called it a no-no, but that's a sick play. I mean, Logan Stanley makes a ridiculously good play to knock that puck out of midair to get it to Gabe Vilardi in front. So you have to give the other team some credit. Winnipeg's a good team. That's a good play. They're better than the Avs on that one. Tied at 2-2 going into the third period. The real bad news of the night for the Avs. Val Nichushkin, injured with a lower body injury, did not return to this game. So as much as they were getting guys back, Jonathan Drouin had 2 points in this game, by the way, returning. They still seem to have a bit of the injury bug problem. At this point, we still don't know exactly where Val is at, but he was out for the third period, which means Casey Mittelstadt, who had been demoted to the fourth line for part of this game, gets promoted back up into that top six. And for a guy that has been slumping, this is great to see. Hockey's a beautiful game. The Avs do a lot of good puck movement and working around the offensive zone, but the only guy I want you to watch on this play is Casey Mittelstadt, and look at how much he moves around the offensive zone during this play as the Avs are playing around him. Initially in the slot, he tries to get away from his man by cutting up into the high slot. He then moves towards the puck to help a potential puck battle in the corner. Once the Avs clearly have possession, he starts to cut back to head towards behind the net. He circles back as you have one man in front and a setup coming from outside. He's pressuring in on any potential rebound opportunities that could be coming here. He's not able to get the initial rebound, but a broken stick bails the Avs out and allows them to maintain possession in the zone. Again, Casey recognizing the play, finding the soft ice, sneaking in behind the net, gets completely lost by the Jets defense. That's what moving your feet does. Eventually, they're going to lose you. The broken stick has caused pandemonium. Casey is now off screen over here with no one anywhere near him as far as the coverage is concerned. So as this setup comes through, this pass is setting up for a Manson one-timer, and Manson does a great job to check, finds the vision, sees a seam, sees Casey sneaking to the back post, sets up a perfect play for Mittelstadt to do something with, and it's actually defended pretty well. The recognition from the Jets defense to stop this play comes in nicely, but Casey doesn't care. He's just going to be strong on his stick, power to the dangerous part of the ice, and put a great tip on a puck to win it for the Avs. A huge goal for the Avs in this game, in their season, and for Casey Mittelstadt as an individual. Getting him off of the slump he's been in, you can see the relief all over him through the rest of the game, where it just seemed like everything went back to normal for him. But also, that's great for the Avs. They win this game. They get 2 points because of that play. And yeah, it's a great setup by Josh Manson, but Mittelstadt's the guy who goes to the right area and makes the nice play to get the Avs over the hump and put himself back on track a little bit. The Avs need Casey Mittelstadt to produce effectively. They don't need him to produce at superstar levels. It's sometimes I think expectations have been a little bit overblown for him, but they also need him to do better than he had been over this last stretch. And getting a goal like that is a great way to start feeling a little bit better. Mittelstadt's never going to be a high-end goal scorer, but he needs to chip in actual goals more than once a month. I'll put it to you that way, and this was a big one for Colorado. That set up the Avs to close this one out, and Winnipeg on that Segababa really did not have the legs in the third period to challenge the Avs lead yet again. So they close it out and pull up 2 empty netters to get it to that 5-2 final. Little bit of a tangent. It feels like the Avs have scored a ridiculous amount of empty netters this season. It's a lot of 1-goal lead games, so they get the 1 empty netter to make it a 2-goal game, and then teams pull their goalie again, and they seem to pick up that second empty netter pretty often too. So yeah, there's a lot of empty net points that might be skewing some statistics for Colorado this year. But the only statistic that matters is wins, or at least points in the standings. And the Avs have put themselves in the thick of it when it comes to the standings, trying to chase down Minnesota in the second spot in the Central and keeping teams like Winnipeg within touching distance. It's not going to be easy, but they're certainly in the mix. I don't think Colorado is playing perfect, but this is their most consistent stretch of hockey they've had all season, and it feels good. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. Head on over to thednvr.com for all of our coverage. I am Rudo, and I'm down if Casey wants to be clutch.